Yo, singing challenge, you start if you know the words. Here we go. Oh, you're not singing. You know the words, don't you? Sing the song. You know the words. Sing. Aren't you just purely grateful sometimes? You know, you roll on your side, you look at all you have in your life, and you say to yourself, man, I am lucky. Or even when you don't have much in your life, you still look around at your destitute home and are safe and secure in the knowledge that you at least aren't that guy. Who that guy may be to you, I don't know. Sorry, this isn't coffee, it's alcohol to stop the shake. That person may be your neighbor, that person may be your lover. But it's undeniable that every once in a while you like to compare yourself to another person and say, man, that guy sucks. For myself personally, I'm trying to establish a career out of doing that for a living, as I just get joy out of doing it for free anyway. And my latest victim to fall into my lap is the streamer so popular you've never heard of him, Johnny Somali. Now, as of today, of course, he's in all of the headlines for his arrest, which we'll get to shortly. But I first became aware of Mr. Johnny and his antics months ago through my favorite TikTok creator, Spidey Turan, an autistic Australian man that travels the globe and just talks. And that's not an insult, by the way. I mean, like, he genuinely has autism. I have autism! And I'm from Australia! Unfortunately, as a result of his neurodivergency and the fact that he's always in such differing locales, that means Spidey occasionally hangs out with the wrong crowd. And when this happens, I get protective like a mama bear. I just want to hold him and make sure he's okay with little kisses. One such of these incidences of him traveling the world was when he ended up in Japan, where my friend decided to do a collaborative stream with Johnny Somali. An interaction of no consequence, I must admit, but it did put the man on my radar. So a couple months later, when I found out that same guy was going viral on Reddit for harassing passengers on a Japanese train by shouting at Hiroshima and Nagasaki over and over again repeatedly in hopes of getting a rise out of the Japanese passengers, my alarm bells went a dinging, and my fingers, much like after playing a long hot game of football, started a digging. Who exactly is Johnny? How is he getting away with it? And how is he able to talk so much smack without getting a clap? Well, he does eventually get hit, but he is allegedly a Somalian American and is definitely a kick streamer. You're not a loser, you don't watch live streams, and you're not a double loser, so you probably don't watch kick live streams, but basically they're the rival to Twitch, the uncensored version if you would. The entire platform's purpose and promotion is to allow streamers to be themselves as much as they want. As far as I'm aware, it's very difficult to get banned, so the majority of the platform is made up of 12-year-olds who migrated from other platforms because their favorite band creator went over there, and the dregs of society whose only form of humor is to be edgy. You know, the types of people who use racism to be funny but are incapable of using it in a good way to be funny. Plus, not to mention the company itself was founded by a disgraced Twitch streamer who's controversial in his own right for taking money and pushing gambling on kids. It's a controversial site full of controversial people doing controversial things. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, if you are live streaming on there, you've either messed up really bad somehow, or yeah, that's pretty much it. What makes Johnny unique, though, is he wasn't a disgraced streamer who had any sort of popularity to begin with and was left with Kick as his only option. No, Johnny dug his nails into the shit pile to climb to the top as its king. And even then, not really, because he only got about halfway. Yeah, he started on Kick because he was inspired by Ice Poseidon, who, if you don't know, is also another very controversial streamer, and I would argue is a bit more than the word controversial, because he is a genuine human being. The dude literally stole $500,000 off his fans for a cryptocurrency scam less than a couple months ago, and when pressed about giving that money back because he was caught red-handed, Poseidon said he needed the money more than they did, and basically told them to go jump arse first on the blunt end of a stick. Plus, not to mention, he is basically the founding father of the worst type of content on the internet, IRL live streams. This man founded the harassing policy of strangers in order to get yourself rich, a type of content form that I firmly stand by to this day, that if you do it, you are an asshole, always. Something that the Taiwanese government agrees with me on, because Ice Poseidon was arrested over there for allegedly causing a nuisance. Although, be it, I will let him off for that one, because all he did was give his friend a lap dance in public. Not even naked or anything, just as a quick joke. And he got sent to the gulag for that. Point being that the man whose schmeat that you gag on and spit on is already a piece of shit, and that's your big inspiration, what exactly does that make you? And furthermore, if that man whose schmeat that you goggle on wants nothing to do with you, Mr. Johnny, and yes, that's true, because Ice Poseidon has banned him from from any interaction with his chat, any interaction with himself, and appearing in any of his streams, well then really, what the f does that make you? As stated, our first sighting of everyone's favorite smegma gobbler Johnny was the train incident where he was harassing passers-by. But what I didn't mention is that escalated a little bit more, as there also happened to be an American Korean person on that train with Johnny. And when that Korean person told Johnny he was being disrespectful for harassing people over literal war crimes, Johnny shot back by saying, "Do you remember the Korean War? We'll do it again."
Korean War, North Korean War, you know what we did you?
Further instances of Johnny causing friction include, and these are all going to be out of order, because f*** you, I'm playing a game of Civ 6 right now as the Roman Empire, and it's finally going my way. Him facing retribution from a Japanese citizen who was upset by his train video, and this retribution came in the form of this Japanese guy coming up behind him and putting him in a choke.
Somali, what's up?
Which, yes, deserved, but dude, if you're gonna choke me, I want you to at least look me in the eyes while you do it and thrust slowly. Further retribution came in the form of a white guy whose wife is allegedly Japanese, because of course he is. It's just the most common interracial pairing possible, where Johnny was verbally accosted and basically treated like a 12-year-old little boy.
Bro, I know how many families suffered, people suffered because of that. You're on the train harassing people like that?
I was drunk.
Don't do it again, bro.
He was also chased down by a Japanese man on a motorbike who can't be taller than 5'4", and being the absolute that Johnny is, he was still scared of the man in spite of his small stature.
What? Bye-bye, nothing. Hey, we chill. So bye. We good.
How do I know that man's 5'4"? Well, because he's shorter than Johnny, who towers him at 5'6". And no, I'm not normally one to fixate on height being someone who's handicapped in the knees themselves, but you think if you're one-on-one with someone who doesn't look very intimidating, and you've got a whole 2 feet on, you would at least be a little bit braver than that. But I think I've safely established that Johnny is not only an annoying harassment worm, but he's also a cowardly worm at that. So it's absolutely baffling and confusing, despite being warned by 3 different men, all intent on not eating his ass but beating it, why he would go and do it again, but this time with a loudspeaker blasting, I don't know how else to say it, racist music or stereotypical music, further pissing off the Japanese people.
Yo, this is not even Japanese, guys.
An incident that got him confronted by a local streaming crew that posed at his fans to get near him, who again politely and slightly threateningly told him to stop harassing people on the train.
You have to be responsible for every action that you undertake from now in this country. You can't make no excuses. You're not going to play no TTS on the trains and in public places, and you're never going to stream on a train again.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No, you're never going to stream on a train in this country.
But no TTS.
No. Don't stream on a train in this country.
In spite of being warned that he will be found again by this group of streamers, if he dares to do it again on a train, guess what he does? He starts streaming on a train again. And true to their word, a couple members of this streaming collaborative show up, call the police, and on the next stop, he gets pulled aside by police officers.
Why you don't focus on Logan Paul? Why just me?
And somehow, by the infinite grace of God and his forgiveness, he isn't immediately arrested. They give him a warning, but not before Johnny decides to play the race card.
This is racism. What is going on? And now they're bringing the big boys here. Call police, no problem. You guys, I ain't do no crime. This is racism. You know George Floyd?
Which is hysterical to me because A, you're in Japan, and B, asking anybody of Japanese descent who lives in Japan, is it because I'm black? The response will be, yes it is. And also you're foreign, plus we hate you. Those homies don't give a f***, bro. Japanese people hate other Asians. They're not gonna tiptoe around the bush butts. Now finally, after months and months of instant after instant of Johnny just being a general nuisance and harassing poor people who are just minding their own business, he was finally arrested. This was because apparently he trespassed on some building property that was under construction, and this resulted in him being chased on foot by a police officer for a couple miles. As of right now, we have no indication of what's going to happen to him, but if I had to guess, because of my expert knowledge in Japanese culture, not because I like the country or anything, but because I hate it. You don't like Japan? No, dude, there's a lot of problems with that country, as Johnny is about to find out now, because Japan has an absolute atrocious legal system and a police system that may as well not even be real. Because my dudes, under Japanese common law, you can be held for up to 23 days for questioning alone. And in those 23 days, the police can ask you as many questions as they want at any time when they want, and you aren't entitled to a lawyer during that period. Those 23 days of questioning can be extended, by the way, by the local courts and the public prosecutor. Now, I'm not going to say corruption is entirely possible, but let's just say the Japanese police want to look really good in, I don't know, Tokyo, and the local public prosecutor is up for election for whatever district he's in. Now, would it not be beneficial to say, I don't know, put someone away for a crime that they didn't do in order to make everybody involved look very good in the public eye? The Japanese would never do that. No, of course they wouldn't, because the only country in the world with a 99.9% conviction rate would never collaborate to throw innocent people under the bus. What I'm essentially telling you is that if you're arrested in Japan and you're getting charged, start prepping those booty cheeks because they're getting clapped. This also coupled with the fact that prosecutors are terrified of taking cases that they might lose because they're worried of making their firms look bad or damaging the 99.9% conviction rate, makes for the perfect justice system that nobody could ever see a flaw in, and doesn't just make Japanese cops a bunch of hacks who are essentially just civilians playing police. It's like putting a guy in goals with no arms and no legs and just taking pop shots. It's completely unfair. I mean, yeah, you are risking going to jail for the rest of your life based on the moral whims of an incredibly introverted country, but anime is kawaii and the food is so tasty. Let's not talk about the laws surrounding children. If I had to guess what's gonna happen to Johnny, he's gonna be in lockup for a really, really long time. We probably won't hear an update to what has happened to him within the next couple months, and more than likely he will be banned from the country for life, if not forced to serve a couple months in jail there. Is it a deserved outcome? Yeah, absolutely. Dude, I don't care what country you're in. I don't care if you're in your own country. It's messed up what you're doing. And the little weasels who are watching you are just as messed up, if not bigger losers, because they're not even willing to go do the harassment. They have to watch a guy do it. The only thing I want to say is you should probably harass that subscribe button because you legally have to do it to Dino's channel. That's all I have to say on the matter, guys. Just be good people. Come on, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.